Alright, so if you didn't know, Ye went on a wild Twitter rant like he usually does, but this one was a little bit different. This time, he decides to empty the clip. He decides to insult everyone, and I mean everyone. He also pulls up to the Grammys uninvited. His wife pulled up as well, but her clothes did not pull up with her, and Kanye just standing there while people taking pictures. It was not a good look. People didn't like it. He then makes a strange Super Bowl commercial, tells people to go to a website. People go to the website, and it's racist memorabilia stuff.
I'm back, it's your boy FITTIE to the E, and today we're going to be taking a look at these creepy TikTok videos. If you guys like the video, remember to like the video. Let's try to get to 2,000 likes this video. These were the people that won the riddle. It's actually hilarious because a lot of people got it so quick. It's like, bro, I might have to retire. And some of y'all even said some funny ones. I might have some honorable mentions in there. If y'all get this one, I might just have to retire because everyone got it. People even came up with answers I didn't think about, but I was like, that's low-key facts. What appears once in a minute, twice in a moment, but not once in 1,000 years? If y'all know, put it down in the comments. I swear to God, if everyone guesses this one again, I'm done. As y'all know, these videos get crazy, so make sure to watch at your own risk and also subscribe.
Now, this is actually starting to sound like a joke at this point with the amount of warnings that the FBI is putting out for everybody right now, but they are sending out yet again another warning that affects anybody that owns a smartphone. So the FBI is now warning iPhone and Android users to immediately delete the text if they receive this message. Okay. This is now the third warning that the FBI has put out to the public, and if you haven't seen the other two, make sure you go click on my page and watch those. Now, the new scam that people are receiving on their phone right now has to do with them saying that you owe money for a toll service, like a toll road or a toll bridge that you passed, and if you don't pay it, you'll get your license taken. I haven't received this scam text personally, but I've seen a ton of comments from people saying that they have, so let us know. And this is just an example of one of the texts that somebody did receive. They screenshotted it. It's literally telling them they owe a fine to keep their license. A bunch of people are actually falling for this. Now, I'm gonna admit that this screenshot specifically does look like a scam because of the phone number and the way that this is written out, but a bunch of people are receiving it and it looks legit. These scammers are even going out of their way to target people that they know are traveling, which is crazy. Obviously, make sure you stay on top of all of these FBI warnings. They're all on my page right now, but I give you these roundups every day, so make sure you add me and come back to me tomorrow.
That's crazy because I literally get those texts at least twice a month. I'm just like, dude, I know for a fact no toll company is going to reach out to me and tell me I owe a toll. If anything, they're going to send me in a mail that I owe a toll. So I was like, it's definitely a scam, 100%. But if you get those texts, be careful because a lot of people I know also get those texts and they fall into the trap. I'm like, dude, you wouldn't think that the toll people would send you a mail before they send you a text. But, just be careful.
So, a asteroid may be hitting Earth soon. One of y'all finna have a bad day. So look, when they first found it, they didn't really care for it because they like, nah, it's not gonna hit us. But lately, it's been shifting more and more in our path. And now they have put out an emergency warning about it. Good news is, you got 7 years before it hits. Bad news is as big as the Eiffel Tower, which means about fires and earthquakes finna hit over a couple 100 miles. So whatever side of the world get hit by that, hey, GG's. Now, one thing I must tell you though is that they state that now it is more a 1 out of 43 chance that it will hit us. But the reason they put out the emergency is because it keep decreasing. Hey, who knows? By next week, you hear that it's a 1 in 42 chance, then a 1 in 41 chance. Now we in year 6 and they talking about it's a 1 out of 2 chance that is about to hit us. So yeah, one of y'all gonna be cooked. GG's to whoever get caught. Make sure you handle all your business in the next 7 years, bro.
I feel like they always just be saying asteroids are gonna hit. I feel like back in 2012, they were like, oh, an asteroid's gonna hit and end the world, and it never did. So I don't think we can specifically predict these, but I doubt it's gonna end our whole reality in the next 7 years.
My least favorite things about space, part 3. One of these images is the cosmic web, and the other one is the neural network in your brain. Do you know which one is which? While they're a little bit easier to tell apart, this is also very true with eyes and nebulas. We are really the universe observing itself. Subsurface oceans are another big one. There's a plethora of moons and dwarf planets that could have oceans that are miles deep. Some of these subsurface oceans contain more water than the entire planet. And when they say subsurface, they mean it. You have to cut through miles of rock and ice to reach them. Also, just a friendly reminder, when something evolves in the ocean, it doesn't have to fight gravity, meaning if it has an unlimited food source, it could grow physically as big as it wants to. There is no person on the entire planet that can prove that there have not been building-sized sea monsters evolving in total darkness in these places for billions of years. Almost 3/4 of the matter in the universe is hydrogen, and the rest of it is basically just hydrogen that's been beaten in the cores of stars, or when stars explode, or when neutron stars collide. Ooh, and speaking of neutron stars, did you know that they can spin 700 times a second? That's insane. Even though they only span, one Manhattan across, they all contain more mass than the sun, meaning they're so dense, a tablespoon of neutron star weighs as much as Mount Everest. If you took the tiniest little bit of this crap and dropped it on the earth, it would sink to the core. Oh yeah, and just like icing on the cake for you, if you even got remotely close to one of these things, its magnetic field is so strong you would just dissolve.
Most people have never been adults. Of the 117 billion humans who have ever lived, more than half died before adulthood. Nearly 10% of all humans in history are alive today, so it's reasonable for you to assume that most existed recently, but that's not what happened. Half of all humans who ever lived existed before the year 0. Back then, birth rates were 5 times higher than today. Women had 6 to 9 children on average instead of today's 2.3 average. Disease, famine, and war kept populations from growing. Even with more people born, death outpaced life. A brutal world wiped out billions of children before they could grow up. If you are at least 20 years old, you have already outlived most of humanity. By nature, most of us were never supposed to be here this long, yet we are. We live longer, experience more, and shape the world in ways that literally billions of people before us never could. Half of all humans never knew clocks, engines, or even books. They stayed where they were born and never imagined a world like ours. The question is, what will you do with the time that they never had?
It's actually crazy to think about. It's crazy that we live in a time right now where we could really travel anywhere. Like, I could real life go to Egypt right now. Someone before me couldn't do that. It'd take them like 5 months, like super long, to just travel by ship all the way to Egypt. Nowadays, I could fly there in probably 5 hours. Like, isn't that crazy to think about? That being said, I influence everyone that's watching this video to travel as much as possible before they make you stop being able to travel, before we have like another breakout demic and then we can't go nowhere. So,
woman was buried alive by her husband. This happened in Washington when 42-year-old young Ann called police using her Apple Watch after her husband beat her and duct taped her mouth. During the 911 call, Young is heard screaming before her husband broke her Apple Watch, threw her in his van, and drove off. Video surveillance captured Che Ann driving out of the garage at the same time that police arrived to the home. Che Ann took his wife to a wooded area, stabbed her in the chest, and buried her alive in a shallow grave. She had a very hard time breathing when she was in there, but she was able to finally get out several hours later and ran to the nearest home and asked for help. It was said that their fight started because they were talking about divorce and finances. Che Ann was charged with attempted first-degree murder, domestic violence, and kidnapping.
If you're ever attacked by a crocodile, here's what you need to do to survive. Rule number 1, remember that you're probably gonna die. You see, crocodiles are literal living tanks measuring over 20 feet long and weighing over 2,000 pounds. They can hold their breath underwater for over an hour, which leads us to our first actual tip. Rule number 1, stay on land. If you see a crocodile, it's time to channel your inner Usain Bolt and run in a straight line. The whole running in a zigzag thing is just a myth, and crocodiles can't keep up for long distances, so sprint like your life depends on it, because it does. Next, if you ignored rule number 1 and find yourself in a wrestling match with a crocodile, hit its eyes or nose. Or if you can, hit the palatal valve at the back of the crocodile's throat, because that'll cause it to drown. Finally, if the crocodile starts its infamous death roll, you should try to roll with it, but truthfully, you should probably just start praying and tell Iron Man that I said hi.
Yo, y'all saw that dude that was going up in the alligator's mouth with his hand? Like, why do you need to put your hand so deep in his mouth? That's so weird.
This man murdered his wife with a chainsaw, left her decapitated body in the street, and escaped America. And to this day, he's never been caught. On April 26, 2010, the police department in Lewisville, Texas received a chilling call. A mailman had called in and was frantic, and he told the dispatcher that he had just found a decapitated corpse of a woman lying in the middle of the street. The victim was Maria Corona, and just before she had been killed, she had been on the phone with one of her best friends. Allegedly, she told her friend that her husband, Jose, was out in the yard making noise with some lawn equipment. She then went outside to check on what Jose was doing, and that's when he began to attack her. Maria's husband, Jose, had been planning this murder for a while. He had prepped the chainsaws the night before, gotten all of his getaway supplies ready, so when his wife walked out of the door that morning, he was ready to kill. According to the police, Jose at the time believed that his wife had been cheating on him, So, according to authorities, he contacted a local witch doctor, or a curandera. According to authorities, this woman gave Jose little vials of perfume and herbs to place around the house to ward off bad spirits, but it's believed that this woman, who's never been identified, may have instructed Jose to kill his wife. After killing his wife and leaving her body in the street, Jose escaped in a vehicle. He then parked the vehicle at a Walmart where another unidentified person picked him up in a pickup. That pickup then brought Jose to an auto dealership. He told someone he wanted to take a car on a test drive, and then he ended up stealing the car. And he eventually crossed the border into Mexico and disappeared. To this day, this is an interesting case because this is considered a solved murder. They obviously know who did it, but Jose has completely vanished. Nobody has seen or heard from him since this event, and it is believed that he is still on the run, living his life somewhere, only God knows where. If you want to hear more true crime stories, listen to the podcast that I co-host with my wife, Courtney, Murder in America, available on all streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Breaking news, 5 arrests have been made in the death of actor Matthew Perry, including 2 doctors, his assistant, and the ketamine queen. Perry revealed his decades-long struggle with addiction in his 2022 memoir, Friends, Lover, and the Big Terrible Thing, and how he was prescribed Vicodin after a jet ski accident on a film set in 1997. Eventually, Perry was taking up to 55 pills per day. In 2023, Perry was receiving ketamine infusions for anxiety and depression, but soon slipped back into his addiction and started getting it illegally as well. And that's when 2 medical doctors started providing him the drug off the record. One of the doctors that's been arrested wrote, quote, "I wonder how much this moron will pay, and let's find out." For a vial that cost them $12, they were charging Perry thousands of dollars. Perry eventually sought out a new source because of these expenses, one of them being Jasveen Sangha, known as the Ketamine Queen, who's also been charged in connection with another man's overdose back in 2019. On October 23rd of last year, Perry was found face down in his hot tub. He died as a result of acute effects of ketamine and drowning. Shortly after this, the defendants tried to cover up their involvement by deleting text messages and apparently forging medical records. Authorities say the ketamine queen sold the drug to Perry's assistant, Kenneth Iwamasa, who injected Perry the day he died, and the syringe was provided by Dr. P, who sold drugs to Perry in the past. 2 defendants, including Perry's assistant, have pleaded guilty to charges already, and a third has agreed to plead guilty. Dr. P and the ketamine queen could face life in prison.
Fun fact. Often called one of the most perfectly designed objects to ever be built, we've all sat on a monoblock chair. And it's estimated more than 1 billion of them have been made since they began production in the 1970s. The monoblock chair transcends time. Look at these photos. Tell me what year they were taken. You can't. The monoblock chair is so perfectly designed, unlike cars, TVs, or phones, it's never changed. And since its design was never patented, we aren't actually sure who designed it. Credit is usually given to Douglas Simpson as the original designer and Henry Massonette as the mass producer. Monoblock chairs are really a product of industry. As injection molding became more refined in the 1970s, monoblock chairs were able to be produced on an insane scale and at a very minimal cost.
Which of these facts is the hardest to believe? If you are coughing uncontrollably, try raising your hands above your shoulders like this. Blue color attracts mosquitoes 2 times more than any other color. It is impossible to unalive yourself by holding your breath. Your voice changes when you speak to a person you like. Mickey Mouse is now 96 years old. You cannot say the letter B without your lips touching. If you look at yourself in the mirror for more than 1 minute, you will start to imagine things that are not there. When you yawn, it means you need more oxygen, not that you are sleepy. Kids today take approximately 90 seconds longer to run a mile than their parents did at the same age. 12 more
random facts about Australia because I just love y'all that much. The word selfie came from Australia. It was first used by Aussie man Nathan Hope when he posted a picture after he busted his ass while drinking. There's more kangaroos than people. Since kangaroos are the white-tailed deer of down under, it's common to eat kangaroo meat. I've actually had a kangaroo burger and it was not bad. Y'all are home to the most venomous snake, fish, octopus, spider, which I didn't even bother putting here, one of the few venomous mammals, and the most dangerous bird in the world. But that doesn't compare to the most venomous thing of all. Because the most venomous things in the world, the box jellyfish and the irukandji, are from Australia. But somehow, with all the dangerous animals in Australia, the one responsible for the most names on Twitter bios, horses and cows. Y'all are so afraid of spiders and snakes, but a horse is more likely to kick your lights out. But it's not all bad. I do have the happiest animal in the world, the quokka. Fun fact, really happy fact actually, they're not endangered. They're vulnerable, so they're not 100% safe, but they're definitely not going extinct. Which is great because Rottnest gets about $4 million in tourism every year, and the quokka selfie is a big reason why. Australia also has the longest fence in the world at 3,488 miles. Supposed to keep rabbits out, but I guess they forgot rabbits can dig.
That's true, you gotta eat kangaroo in Australia? If you're from Australia, let me know in the comments. I did not know that. And how does it taste? I tried fried alligator back in Florida. It was a very interesting tasting meat. No diddy.
Things that almost no humans can do, apart from not showing. If you can, then you're bloody weird. This is where you bend your pinky finger without moving your ring finger. And only 5% of humans can actually do this. Do you like this video if you can do it?
This is insane. What you are seeing is believed to be the first ever footage captured of an alive black sea devil near the surface during daylight. It was spotted on the 26th of January, just 2 kilometers off the coast of Tenerife. And because this fish usually lives as deep as 2,000 meters under the surface where there is total darkness, until now only larvae or dead specimens have been seen so close to the surface in daylight. So I don't know what kind of revolutionary, mind-blowing experience this sea devil is having right now, but he won't be going back down to tell his friends how to escape the Matrix because he's dead.
These are some of the scariest conspiracy theories in the world, but we're gonna keep going until we find the craziest one. There's actually a huge conspiracy that the Denver International Airport is the Illuminati's headquarters, which is crazy. So basically, since a lot of people already have this conspiracy, the airport themselves have embraced the rumors by poking fun at it. Like, they have billboards and posters around the airport that's like, hey, we're aliens. And people think that since they poke around and joke at it, that it's probably true, that why are they making fun of it? They're trying to hide it. There's also a huge conspiracy that the Apollo 17 was not the last moon mission. Okay. So after Apollo 17 in 1972, America actually stopped sending astronauts to the moon. NASA claimed that they logged all the research they needed and the government funding was reduced, so it ended. A movie actually ended up coming out about a fictional Apollo 18 mission, and now some people believe that the mission was real and it ended tragically when the astronauts had a run-in with aliens. I think that arguably one of the biggest conspiracies is that people believe that airplane exhaust trails are actually filled with chemtrails. So within this conspiracy, people think that the exhaust trails on airplanes are actually chemtrails, and it's the government that's trying to spray us, and they're keeping it a secret. And there's also a lot of conspiracies that feed into this, like whether or not it's cloud seeding for storms, or if it's like mind seeding to control our minds. We're gonna keep going with this until we find the craziest one, so make sure you add me and come back to me tomorrow.
There's a moment this 17-year-old is seen smiling after finding out that he was found not guilty for the murder of his mother. The crazy part about this entire thing is that the year prior, he also shot and took his father's life. This all happened in September 2024 when 39-year-old Catherine Griffith was found to death in her parents' home in Auburndale, Florida. Her own son, 17-year-old Colin Griffith, he told police that his mother lunged at him with a knife and then somehow she fell on the knife and lost her life. Now, a few weeks before this happened, Colin had a conversation with his grandfather, which was his mother's father, and do you want to know what he said to him? He said, I quote, "More than anything, I want to slit her throat and feel her bleed out and feel the life leave her body. That's how much I hate her." That's what he said to his grandfather. Witnesses also saw Colin and his mother arguing outside the house, and they saw him grab his mother by the hair and drag her inside the home. Now, the part that had my jaw on the floor was finding out that the year prior, Colin also and took his father's life. During the trial, this detail was not allowed in court, which means that the jury did not know that Colin also took his father's life, because I'm sure that if they knew this, the outcome would have been a lot different. It's actually terrifying that this man is just out and free, and in my opinion, he could potentially be a serial killer, and it's just a matter of time until he does this again.
Australia, that will blow your fucking mind. Number 3. Australia has the largest population of camels. Now you're probably thinking, nah mate, what about the Middle East? They have shitloads of camels. Yeah, but they come from us. We export our camels all over the world. So the next time you see a camel, just say g'day, because he's probably Australian. Number 2. Australia invented Wi-Fi. Now I refuse to believe this, but it's bloody true and there's the facts. So if we invented Wi-Fi, why is it so fucking shit here? Number 1. This is a wombat. It is an Australian native animal. But these guys do something that will blow your mind. They shit cubes. What? Could you imagine if your poos had edges? Lucky they're not sharp, because that would hurt. So if you value your life, don't shit cubes, mate.
I don't think we talk about how traumatizing drone warfare really is. I feel like the PTSD alone from that is crazy. Like, think about it. You will truly never be able to hear a wasp or a bee ever again. Like, anyone that survives drone warfare, I truly feel bad for them. It's really one of those things where, like, if you hear it, it's too late. But if you're one of the lucky ones that survive, you definitely will suffer some major PTSD. You can see in the video, them boys put their head up. They know that shit was coming, but like, what could you do? You would think you could just shoot it out the air, but that shit coming at Mach speed, you can't do nothing, bro. It's over. For me, it's the people that survive it that get it the worst, because when you come back to normal society, any bzzz, bees, wasps, it's a no-go. That's so real. Yeah, I made that video I think like 2 days ago, and I was just like, drone, because I don't know what it is, but like on my timelines I've been seeing a lot of these drone warfare videos. I'm just like, drone warfare, how terrifying that must be. You're just chilling in like a bunker, you just hear bzzz, boom, your whole platoon gets wiped out. I should say platoon, I think that's what it is. Yeah, I'd be terrified, dude. I'd be freaking terrified.
Alright, so if you didn't know, Ye went on a wild Twitter rant like he usually does, but this one was a little bit different. This time he decides to empty the clip. He decides to insult everyone, and I mean everyone. He also pulls up to the Grammys uninvited. His wife pulled up as well, but her clothes did not pull up with her, and Kanye just standing there while people taking pictures. It was not a good look. People didn't like it. He then makes a strange Super Bowl commercial, tells people to go to a website. People go to the website, and it's racist memorabilia stuff, which prompted Shopify to take down the website and its talent agency to drop him. But let's go back to his wild Twitter rant. And if you didn't see his tweets, good. Trust me, you are not missing out on anything. But let me just put it to you like this. He goes as far as to say free Diddy. Like, he's just trying to get people mad at this point. But you see, Ye had a problem. People just didn't care. Like, the wild tweets just didn't hit the same for most folks. And that is a bigger problem for Ye than you could probably imagine. Because this is his marketing strategy. He needs people to care. He needs his name to be on the news so he could then drop an album or drop some merch. And guys, this goes back. I said the same thing last year during Kanye's rant when he dropped an album. But the thing is, again, you gotta go way back. I first started noticing this during the life of Pablo. The lead single for the album was a song called Famous. In that song, listen closely, he says a line that says, I feel like me and Taylor might still have, I can't say that word. Wow, I can't say that yet. He just starts talking crazy about Taylor Swift, basically saying he's the one who made Taylor Swift famous. Because if you remember, years before he said the line, in 2009, he said the line in 2016. He walked on stage in the VMA Awards, took the mic from Taylor Swift, and said, I'm gonna let you finish, but Beyonce had a better music video, which she did, but that's besides the point. So him saying, I feel like me and Taylor might, that line, in 2016, just confused people. They're like, why is he bringing up Taylor Swift again? He's bullying her. Kanye's name is all over the news. Boom, he drops his album. It does numbers. It does great. But you see, this moment has always been suspicious to me. Because Kanye was always a little controversial, but he was never controversial just for the sake of being controversial. He never just blatantly said a super controversial line. He called this a crazy theory, but I feel like the moment he learned that controversy means bigger album sales is the whole moment we just talked about earlier when he first took the mic away from Taylor Swift during the VMAs. He drops an album after that moment, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and of course the album is a masterpiece, but everyone wanted to hear what he had to say, so the album went insane first week. Now let me be clear, I don't think the only reason he does controversial things is because he has an album coming out. No. I think that was the plan at first, but somewhere along the line his mental illness heavily came into play and he just started doing worse and worse things. But the timing of his releases and his episodes are just too coincidental. It just seems that right behind every Kanye insane moment, there's gonna be an album drop. This time no different. He has an album coming out called Bully. And here's where it starts to get wicked. Times are changing, old man. People are used to controversy. These past 5 years have been hard. I swear to God, my sister just walked in right now and showed me Google Maps has changed Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. Boy, you think people care that you sitting over here tweeting? And the crazy part is Kanye's one of the people that have made this happen. Made people have this thick skin. Remember Red Hat era Kanye? By the way, I believe after this he dropped an album called Donda. People were losing their minds. They said, Kanye, what's he doing? Oh, but people got used to that. So years later, he's about to drop another album, Vulture. So he has to get in his Twitter bag, start saying things to get him banned off the platform. People got used to that. So this time, this most recent time, he has to say worse things than he said before. But people are already kind of used to it. He made a miscalculation. And now his next album has to actually be good or he is finished. And ask Kanye fans in my comments when's the last time he made something that was good. Now, let me be clear. In my opinion, he's done now, not finished. I'm sure there will still be a lot of people tuning into his next album just to hear what he has to say. He still has a lot of fans, but I'm sure he also has a lot of people that'll be curious. He's made a lot of good music over the years. He still kind of has that drawing power. But that drawing power declines fast with each album he makes, because fun fact, the Kanye you see with his crazy tweets is the same Kanye in his songs nowadays. He just saying anything over really good beats. So even his diehard fans have a hard time defending him, because what has shielded him before, the really good music, is not very good anymore. He won't be the mentally ill tortured genius. He'll be the mentally ill guy that makes trash music. And speaking of mental illness, I'm sure his mental illness exacerbates all the tweets that he be tweeting out, but you can't blame mental illness on everything. I think if you just say Ye has a mental illness, it's okay. It's an insult to people with mental illnesses. Two things could be true at the same time. He can have a mental illness and he could be a guy that does too much. But at the end of the day, who cares what he says? And I know there's an argument of all the stuff Kanye is tweeting, people can get influenced by it and think like him. Boy, if you were predisposed to turning racist because Kanye said some racist things, then wisdom is chasing you, but you are faster. And I wash my hands of you. Let them turn. Let them turn.
You know, Kanye been tripping. He been saying some crazy stuff online. I feel like he's just trying to rage bait people. Like, just make people think that he's like mean some crazy stuff, but he really does. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he probably does. I don't think Kanye's a liar. He be telling the truth for real. I think he's just a tweaker. He's just tweaking. Like why is he being like that? Like, if you have those beliefs, at least just keep him offline. Like, why go on Twitter and say that? And one of the craziest things he said was like F Virgil, which is the guy that made Louis Vuitton, the clothing brand. It's like, dude, what did that kid do to you? Like, what did Virgil do to you, Kanye? And then he also said something else like, I denied 3 kids at Make-A-Wish in a wheelchair. It's like, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's so random.
Thank you all for watching this here video.